We are back. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome back to the Fantasy Football Universe. I am Aaron St. Dennis. Follow me everywhere at FF Mad Scientist, joined by Jeremy Schulman at FF_Rebel and Jesse Moeller at JMoeller05. We are here to talk some Week 5 NFC home games. That is what we start off with. It is Tampa, Atlanta on the Thursday nighter. Then we've got 7 games total this week because there's 4 teams on bye. Second game will go is Jets Vikings. That is your 9:30 a.m. Eastern London game. We have Panthers Bears, Browns Commanders, Cardinals 49ers, Giants Seahawks, Packers Rams. I just threw up in my mouth reading those. It looks like we start with arguably the best game of the week. Maybe Cardinals, or best game of this slate. Maybe Cardinals 49ers is, but we will start regardless with Bucks at Falcons. For those of you who are able to see the graphic, I know if you're listening to us, we'll have to kind of talk you through it. But for those of you who are seeing the numbers on screen, for Baker Mayfield, that says 6-18.7. That means the Falcons rank as the 6th best matchup and average 18.7 points per game allowed. So that is what that is. So we'll start off with the quarterbacks here. We got Baker. We've got Kirk Cousins, 6th best matchup for Baker, 18th best for Kirko here. I assume Kirk is slightly moving up and Baker is slightly moving down. Has Baker fallen back into QB2 range for you guys, or is he still clinging to QB1 territory for dear life? I have him at 9, and I have Kirk at 18. So Baker is still inside the top 20 for me, or top 12 for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to really argue.
He didn't get the message.
No, he didn't get the message. That's okay. I was waiting and hoping he saw it, but it's not.
He put in the private chat, Jeremy. You go first because you're in the middle.
Hey, guess what? I'm in the middle spot, so let's go first. I totally agree with you on Baker Mayfield. He's my 7th ranked QB this week. We have bye weeks, right? So that's part of the concern. I can't think of exactly who's on bye. At least Jalen Hurts is one of those guys who would likely be ranked
Tennessee,
above.
Detroit, Philly, and one other team. Rams. Chargers, sorry. Continue, sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So we got Baker at 7. He's just got a really good matchup here, as you can see. And then on the flip side, Kirk Cousins, well, he's my QB 21. I just don't trust it. We haven't seen anything develop with Pitts. The saving grace here is Darnell Mooney. And if we're relying on Darnell Mooney for our quarterback's production, I don't want any part of it. So he's barely a QB2 for me this week.
The saving grace is Darnell Mooney. Ugh, those words have never been uttered in humankind.
Mooney's a respectable wide receiver. I know it's been rough. It's been a rough go for him the past couple of years, but he did put up 80 receptions, 1,000 yards before. He's solid. I think he actually fits that team really well and gives an option because Pitts is just a nothing burger. We can talk about him in a minute, but just Kyle Pitts has just been a disaster.
Do we have to?
Yeah, I mean, name cachet, right?
You know there's a lot of it's only 4 bye teams this week, and I did a lot of already just looking at some of my rankings going, how is that guy this high? And I'm going, ugh, there's nobody to move. I can't wait till we get to the 6 teams that bye. Those are just going to be brutal.
Wait till week 14 and the Baltimore Ravens and the Washington Commanders on the bye week, and everyone's like, oh my gosh. Hopefully we have a bye week. Yeah, I like Baker. He's been really good. He's just been a better overall QB than Cousins. Cousins still does not have his fastball. It's the Achilles injury that's kind of holding him back. It's just been a little slow progression to come up for him. Yeah, I like the matchup for both players. I'm not super worried about it. I just want to see a little bit more from Cousins compared to what we've seen. Baker's just been a better quarterback, so he's going to rank higher for me. So I have Baker at QB 11. I have Cousins at QB 19, which seems pretty low, but it's just kind of is what it is. Until we see a little bit more from Cousins, it's hard to push him up into that area.
All right, moving on. We have the running backs. Hey, Jamie. Rachaad White splitting kind of with Bucky Irving now. That's a situation to talk about. 10th best matchup for the Bucks. 23rd best matchup for the Falcons. We've got Bijan and the starter over there, Tyler Algier, apparently. So where do we have this? We were just talking about this before the show. There's a questionable tag on Bijan, and it's a Thursday game. So a lot of people were speculating that it's some form of injury, and that's what limited him, and that's why it was Algier so much. It's a hamstring issue, limited participation. So I don't know. what are we thinking here? Because I don't know if we haven't had great luck in the past with Bijan in these injury illness type games. He's put up a nothing burger already once last year. These are 4 running backs here where I'm pretty scared of all of them. Obviously, Bijan's got to go in your lineup if you have him, but it's fucking terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, we love Bijan Robinson, of course, but we haven't loved him for fantasy this season. He hasn't only but once gone into the end zone, and that was back in week 3 against Kansas City, and he still finished as the RB 17.5 PPR. He's been the 2015, 17, and 28th ranked running back over the first 4 weeks. This is not what we signed up for with Bijan Robinson, and now he's ailing. In my rankings, he's still RB 8. I might be pushing him down as we progress to tomorrow night. That said, yeah, it's just tough. Tyler Algier is going to climb up my rankings. And then we talked about this a couple of days ago with Rachaad White and Bucky Irving. They're basically both back-end RB2s for me. They cannibalize each other, even in a pretty decent matchup here.
Yeah, like that's kind of the concern with the Bucs running backs, right? Is you don't know how it's fully going to play out. I will say that the Falcons defense has been pretty good against running backs. They're not like you would expect them to give up more fantasy points than the Buccaneers, but it's actually flipped. The Buccaneers have given up more fantasy points this year. So it's interesting to look at it that way. And just, we know Bijan, if he's healthy, which is the biggest question mark of it all, he's going to get a lot of work. But in the meantime, I do, because of the strength the Buccaneers defense up front from Vita Vea, like Algier doesn't seem like the best fit this week, but you definitely have to push him inside the top 30 at least, just because of his role in a limited Bijan. It's gonna be really good. On the flip side, like Bucky finally got the goal line work. That's incredibly important for him. It's up. The last basically threshold he has to hit is the receiving work and taking third down options. I don't know if that's ever going to happen with him because of Rachaad White, how good he is at that, but it is what it is. I have them both right alongside each other, like RB24, RB25. They're kind of back together, just hanging out, because I'm not sure exactly how this one's going to split out. And it really comes down to who has a touchdown.
Alrighty. Pass catchers here at wide receiver. 26th best matchup for the Bucs, 21st best matchup for the Falcons. Not a great matchup for either. Not really bad enough that you want to dock them. I always mention the matchup, but really, unless it's bottom 5 or 6 or top 5 or 6, you don't really factor it in unless one of the teams has a shutdown corner. But this isn't the case here. So we've got Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Jalen McMillan. On the other side, Drake London, Mooney, and Ray McLeod. I guarantee you my top 2 are the 2 Bucs receivers, and they're probably both top 10. And then I think I have London as a 3 and McMillan as a flex. What do you guys have?
Yeah, I don't know what happened with Chris Godwin last week. He still had 9 targets, but just 6 for 69. Didn't get in the end zone is really the issue. I don't expect that to be an every week problem. He's my wide receiver 1 this week. We know he's got the volume. If he scores a touchdown, he's right there. And I'm not concerned about Atlanta because the better Atlanta, who is it, Terrell, is going to be going up against Mike Evans on the outside. So, and then of course, we were talking about this earlier, Sterling Shepard being the wide receiver 3 here with Jalen McMillan out for Tampa. So, he's not flex worthy for me, but I think he does enough where he can kind of take away a little bit of coverage, leaving Godwin wide open. So I love him. Godwin, and then Mike Evans is wide receiver 11, Drake London looking at 13, but I'm going to have to push him down probably to 17, 18 range. And then Mooney probably in the 30s.
Yeah, that's totally fair with that. I'm in on Drake London this week. He's been getting the targets. It's been slowly going up and up and up. It was 3 the first week, 7 in week 2, 9 in last week or in week 3, 12 in week 4. Like, he's very much a focal point of that offense. They're slowly coming together and connecting. I like his role. It's similar. He's learning a lot of intermediate. He's not doing the deep stuff. That's more Darno, Mooney, Rayler, and McLeod. So, yeah, he's my wide receiver 12. You could do Mooney in a pinch if you need him. He's pushing into that wide receiver, like high 30. I think it's 38 for me. I need to double check. But he's been involved in a focal point of that offense, so he's been good. It came down a little bit last week. On the flip side, it's Godwin and Evans. You know what it is. Evans is also dealing with injury, so you have to kind of watch that a little bit. But Godwin's role is really awesome. His expected points is up near. He's overproducing it, so that's why he's a high-end wide receiver 1. So Godwin is wide receiver 8. Evans is wide receiver 14 for me this week.
Let's close this one out with the tight ends because we have to. 22nd best matchup for Otten, 9th best for Pitts. I have Pitts ranked higher than Otten, and I do not like it at all. I think it's matchup and name only. Pitts at 9, which is forcing it. Kate Otten down at 17. I'd love to flip-flop him, but every time I get back in on Otten, he goes out there and gets, 90% route runs with no targets. So I have it Pitts over Kate Otten, but I don't like it one bit. How about you guys?
I can get Pitts all the way down to tight end 13 this week, but Taysom Hill might not play. Evan Ingram remains to be seen if he's going to suit up. David Njoku, all those guys are above him, and they haven't played or are expected not to play. So we'll see if they all do. So Pitts could creep into the top 12 yet again. Unfortunate there. Kate Otten 22. Who cares?
Yeah, I really just don't want to play Pitts. But you kind of have to rank him at a certain point just because the tight ends are not good. This is the biggest issue we have with tight ends. Like I saw a consensus ranking had freaking David Njoku below Kyle Pitts, and I'm like, what are we doing here, folks? That makes no sense. One guy has an awesome role. I know he's come back from injury, but he's going to be good. Pitts is just not a focal point. He's not getting first read looks or anything like that. So he's tight end 14 for me this week, and I seriously think I need to push him down farther because that offense really hasn't been great at supporting assets, and Pitts is really isn't doing anything. On the flip side, Otten, I have it tight end 18. He's like a boom bust touchdown dependent tight end. We can't expect what we got last week. Like that just seems kind of like fool's gold. So if it sticks, then yeah, I'd be excited for it. I just don't think it's gonna stick.
I just got the results of one of my leagues this week where it's one of those big formats where everyone, it slowly dwindles down. We were down to 64 teams. I just got eliminated. I was the third highest scoring team out of 64 teams. I went head to head with the number 1 team this week. So I get knocked out because it's a head to head format after the first 3 weeks or first month.
I love fantasy.
Brutal.
Yeah. Third out of 64. And I am now out because I went, this one sold. I'll take it.
I mean, you legit can't play Andrews right now. Like you can't play him. It's so I get it. But you're talking about Strange or Theo Johnson, so you basically have to be okay just taking L's in the tight end position. Considering how bad it is, I don't mind it. It's just his current role. He's not running enough routes. They don't pass enough.
No, so sorry. How did you read this? I read it at he's getting Kraft, not Andrews.
It says was offered Andrews for Kraft.
Oh no, then no, don't at all. I want Kraft straight up. I read it backwards, and until you said it, I realized I was reading it the wrong way. I want Kraft here, 100%.
Yeah, take the upside to connect to Jordan Love offense.
I don't want Kraft. I love Jordan Love. I love this Packers. I love this Packers offense, but there's so many mouths here. Kraft is going to be boom bust. We've already seen it. I know Jordan Love has only played 2 games, but yeah, we're just way too low on Mark Andrews. I get it. We've seen it. It's horrible. But if we're talking about like tight end 25 in return for Mark Andrews, just hold and pray because that's what you're doing anyway. So
it's so bad. Yeah. I just see 0 upside right now. Yeah, it's rough. It's so rough.
The London game, Jets and Vikings. Aaron Rodgers, worst matchup for quarterbacks. 13th best matchup for Sam Darnold. And I'm sure I have Sam Darnold considerably higher in my rankings than Aaron Rodgers. The words just don't seem right coming out of my mouth, but that's where we are. I have Darnold at 14, Rodgers at 21. What do you guys have?
You are too low on Sam Darnold. QB 12, QB 1 once again this week. Sam, the man, Darnold, getting it done, even against the best defense in football. This offense is too good. It's not Sam Darnold. It's everyone else, including Kevin O'Connell. I will ride this train until it, peters out and crashes into the end of the line and falls off a bridge. I don't care. Sam Darnold, QB1 season. Let's go. He is the QB1 in 6-point passing touchdown leagues.
Yeah, it's a wild what I'd write out there. The one thing I think with this defense and what Aaron Rodgers does, he's going to be able to read the coverages better than almost anyone else. He's been through everything that he's been through, especially with Lester Frazier. He's seen this defense plenty of times. So I think he's not going to be able to get tripped up like some of these younger quarterbacks have that have not played the defense at that level, kind of like what Sam Darnold's going through. So we'll see. I have Darnold as quarterback 16. It's a really, really bad matchup. And also the Jets offense is so slow. It's hard for teams to produce points against them. So it's like a double effect, right? So yeah, I'll play Sam Darnold if you want to stream him. Rodgers is QB 19. He's fine, but it was just looked absolutely broken last week. So it's really hard to have confidence on that offense right now.
All right.
Yes, Jamie. Yes.
Yes. Running backs, we've got Breece Hall and Braylon Allen. And on the other side, Aaron Jones, Ty Chandler. What do you guys have here? I got to look something up quickly. Go for
It's
it.
got to be Aaron Jones. I mean, I'd love for it to be Breece Hall here, but Aaron Jones is my RB9, Breece Hall my RB10. The matchups are brutal for both. James Conner also has, and Brian Robinson have brutal matchups. They're my 11 and 12. So all those guys right there, just whoever falls into the end zone and happens to rip off a big run is going to be the best here. I just have a little bit more faith right now in Aaron Jones in that offense to catch passes and make something happen. Breece Hall has been struggling with that the past few weeks.
Yeah, I think with Aaron Jones is interesting because he started out the year splitting a lot of work in like the first 2 games. Then they're like, you know what? He looks really good. Let's give him a ton of work. So he saw 27 opportunities last week. He saw 25 the week before. If you're telling me he's going to get that many, like I'm going to have him ranked higher. I just don't know if it's going to stick against the Jets defense because the Jets defense is really good. And it seemed like we kind of have to wipe away last week's game for the Jets because like you can't really take anything away from that. It was so bad. So I still have Breece above him, but yeah, they're closer. Aaron Jones' usage is awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so I have some housekeeping here I need to attend to with you gentlemen. You will notice the numbers on the screen. Swap them. I have some form of formatting glitch, and I just realized it. I looked and you said how bad the matchup was for Darnold, and I'm like, wait, the screen says otherwise. It's reversed.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's the worst matchup for Darnold and the 13th worst matchup. So the numbers somehow, I don't know what happened when I formatted these charts. They got swapped. So we're going to have to kind of improv here. But the numbers are correct. You just got to switch them to the other side of the screen. So stupid spreadsheets. My bad. I'll do better. Moving on to the wide receivers, we've got Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, and Alan Lazard. What a nasty looking wide receiver room. 4th best matchup for them. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Jalen Naylor, 24th best matchup for them. Jefferson's my highest here. I think my next highest is Wilson, but I don't know anymore. It's kind of scary. And even this one, I don't know. What do you guys think of these guys? Jefferson, I have at 5. After that, it's a long way down.
Yeah, Jefferson at 7 for me. Garrett Wilson at 22. He may creep up above into the teens by the end of the week. Like you said, it's a pretty decent matchup here, and the Jets are going to have to throw against these Vikings. But the Vikings have been just very good as a team defense in general. And we saw how bad the Jets looked last week. They're calling for, Devontae Adams as soon as possible. We'll see. That's not going to happen this week, of course. But yeah, I expect Minnesota to absolutely crush the Jets, which means maybe there's some garbage time production for Garrett Wilson and Alan Lazard. Yeah, it's Jefferson, Wilson, and then I probably like Addison well over the rest of these options, and maybe even Naylor over Lazard.
Yeah, like the passing attack's been really, really good for the Vikings. They've been super incredibly efficient. Like the touchdown rate's out of control. Only on like 26 pass attempts per game. It's out of this world. The Jets, yeah, like I have a hard time ranking Garrett Wilson outside my top 15 this week because the matchup is like it's good matchup. It should work out. He should connect with Rodgers. And on the flip side with Jefferson, he's top 3 this week. I don't care about his matchup. He's that good. Like the only player I would even consider like pushing Jefferson really down is Surtain. And like he's not going to shadow him all over the place. They'll move Jefferson around. He's really fine. Addison, I have wide receiver 32. Mike Williams is wide receiver 36. And Alan Lazard is wide receiver 42. But you can flip those 2 guys. It's kind of just touchdown. Whoever you want with a touchdown.
Tight ends, 5th best matchup for Conklin, 3rd worst matchup for Josh Oliver. I think I have Conklin in streaming range. I do. I have him as tight end 14. Oliver, I don't even have Oliver as the highest ranked tight end on his team. I actually have Johnny Munt, despite the fact that Oliver's listed as the starter. Conklin don't stream. I have no interest in Josh Oliver, but what do you guys think here? Any interest in Conklin?
Yeah, I did last week, but he totally disappointed. I just don't know what to expect from this Jets offense, especially against a decent defense. So stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, right? He got 8 targets last week, which is kind of crazy when you look at it, and just did nothing with them. Excuse me. Sometimes that happens tight end position. If he's going to get targets to run the routes, like he's just going to be higher because they have a centralized passing attack, right? And you could see Conklin stepping ahead of like Lazard or doing that. I don't think Williams, but he can get the red zone. So yeah, he's streamable. It's fine, but like it's a really bad matchup. So you're not going to bump him up inside the top 12. On the flip side, if you want to chase a tight end and to catch a touchdown, you could do it this week with the Vikings, but it's like, I read these wrong. So yeah, flip exactly what I said. That caused me to. Yeah, I don't mind Conklin this week. Sorry, Oliver is just
that's tripping you up. Hey, that I fucked up the graphics.
Yeah, I had it in my head. I was like, wait, hold on.
I was reading it too, and my brain wasn't processing. You need to flip this, but yeah, that's my bad. I didn't do it on the graphics, but it was a lot of cut and paste to get it into these, and I fucked it right up. So let's move on. Carolina at Chicago. We have two quarterbacks who I have outside the top 20. I'm at 21 and 22. Not a great matchup, or actually a decent matchup for both. I'm having more glitches here. Is this what's going on? Anyways, who do you like out of Dalton and Caleb? I'm not sure what happened here to the number.
Against the Chicago secondary, I'm really going to pump the brakes on Andy Dalton. I really like him and what he's been able to do. But that Chicago secondary just continues to prove that they're for real. Jalen Johnson, I believe it is an animal. They're just really good. On the other side, Caleb Williams. Yeah, I'll take a shot on Caleb. He's my QB 16 right now, and I might have the balls to move him up to QB 13 when it's all said and done. Shane Waldron sucks. We hate him. The Bears hate him at this point. They sat him down last week and said, "We hate you. Fix it." He didn't. But Caleb Williams continues to operate outside of scheme and make plays. So if you just watch the games, he's run around like a madman, avoiding 3 sacks, chucking it 40 yards downfield, and making something out of nothing routinely enough where the Bears can move the ball and they can win games or 2-2. So give me Caleb. I like what he's doing. He's only going to get better as the season goes on.
I did these at 3:00 in the morning last night. The Caleb Williams side. I mean, you still got to reverse it, but that's not 9th ranked 30. It's supposed to be 31st ranked for 9 points. So it's a solid matchup for Caleb. It's a terrible matchup for Dalton. That's why they are back to back. I have Caleb one spot higher. It's because of the matchup. The Bears have been the second worst matchup. After all of my tomfoolery here on the fucking graphics, we'll sort through it. That's why
we'll ignore them going forward.
I would say the way you talk yourself into Andy Dalton this week is if the Chicago Bears offense is so good against a really bad Carolina Panthers defense that they force them to pass it a lot. Like Andy Dalton, they're really high pass rate and neutral game script. If they're going to be trailing a lot, which is entirely possible, just the flaw in that is the Bears offense has been atrocious this year. Even last week against the Rams defense, which is supposed to be like you can beat anybody against them, they had 157 yards passing. Like it was just not good. So I have them borderline like Caleb's QB 17. I just want to see this offense do a little bit more. And Dalton's QB 20 because I still think there is one scenario where like it could just turn into a shootout against that because like they got to throw a bunch. So I don't know that's the most likely scenario, but I'm going to talk myself into it for Andy Dalton for streaming purposes if you want to do that.
Running backs. 9th best matchup for Chuba Hubbard. 2nd best matchup for Swift, Roshan, whoever the hell. I think it's Swift now. It was Roshan last week. The week before, I think it was Khalil Herbert. So whoever it is. I think I still have Chubbard the highest here. It's a worse matchup for him, but essentially there's one of him and there's not 3 on the other side. So I would assume I have Chubbard as a 2-3 somewhere in here. Oh, I just seen his name. Oh, no. How high are you guys on Chubbard? Because I'm pretty high on him. How high is he in your rankings?
13. RB 13 this week.
8.
He's been awesome. But he's above ETN for me. Mixon has a bad matchup. He's above Najee, who looks like dust. And he's above DeAndre Swift, who DeAndre Swift, I'm so angry that I'm back in on DeAndre Swift. I didn't want to be, but this matchup is exactly what you want. And after the usage that he got last week, holy crap, like that came out of nowhere. They should do that again if that's the type of production that he's going to put up, especially against bad defenses. This is a bad defense. I'm going to start him in fantasy, and I'm going to hate every minute of it.
I have Swift at 18, but I have Hubbard at 8 above Bijan and Kyron.
It's a time to be alive. Let me tell you what. It's something. It's wild. Like I'm looking at the guys that are consensus ranks above Swift, and I don't understand what we're doing with Najee, Ramondre, like Singletary, Hunt. Like, I mean, dude, these are all guys that are not guaranteed workloads. Like, yeah, that's the thing. That 100%. Was absurd. But like his overall usage, like I'm fine counting on it. But the weird thing about that game last week is that is how the offense finally got going. Is they were like, all right, we got to do something. They just absolutely peppered Swift with targets. The nice thing about Swift is he's always been a good pass catcher. So you could theoretically talk yourself into doing this entire year. It's going to be a gross offense, kind of like a couple years ago with Austin Eckler and the Chargers defense, where they just dumped it down to him a ton of times. Like it could be something like that. Like Swift, he's top 16 this week. I'm fine chasing the dragon, quote unquote, with him again and rolling with it. yeah, Hubbard's been really good. And like, this is what we talk about. Like, I'm super excited to see when Jonathan Brooks comes back because you get just a better overall player in the same role. And so, yeah, like I'm excited for Hubbard these few weeks. And then when Jonathan Brooks comes back, it'll be like wheels up.
The next 5 weeks for DeAndre Swift is Carolina, Jacksonville. He's got a bye, Washington, and Arizona. So if it's DeAndre Swift, he's going to eat.
Yeah. Wide receivers here, 27th best matchup for Carolina. Not great. 13th best for the Bears. So we got Deontay and Leggett, I think, are start worthy here. Not so much Mingo. I needed to fill out the graphic. Then we've got DJ Moore, Keenan Allen when healthy, Rome Odunze. I'm going to look here. I feel like Deontay is easily my highest, but let's confirm. Deontay at 14. And then my next highest is DJ Moore at 19. What do you guys have here?
Yeah, I can't quit Deontay. He's wide receiver 17 for me, slightly lower just because of the matchup, and I don't know what to expect, but he's the clear one. Leggett looked great as well. I'll fire him up in the flex. DJ Moore, Rome, and Keenan Allen in that order for me. I still need to see it with Allen coming back from bye. I know Rome had a dud last week. I'm just going to trust the talent. It really depends on how involved Cole Kmet is going to be. But DJ Moore is the only one you can rely on, even if I flex Rome Odunze.
Yeah, the entire offense was just a dud last week outside of DeAndre Swift. Like he was the only thing that really worked for them last week. So against the Panthers defense, if it doesn't work against the Panthers defense, like I'm gonna be like, what is happening with this offense? Because this is the perfect defense where you should be able to just unleash these wide receivers and let them cook. I have DJ Moore, wide receiver 15. I have Deontay Johnson, wide receiver 16 there back to back. I just like the matchup so much more for DJ Moore. I get it. Deontay Johnson's been a massive target hog. His usage is out of control. And then, yes, Rome Odunze, wide receiver 28. Then Keenan Allen, wide receiver 40. Xavier Leggett, wide receiver 43. And I don't even worry about Mingo. Like, he's just doing nothing. So, no, thank you.
I'm just going to continue sitting here chuckling to myself until you guys pay attention.
Leggett or Allen?
Leggett.
Yeah, Allen.
You see it, Jesse?
It's not clicking. Somebody's going to have to tell me because I have no idea what you're.
No.
We OD in on Rome?
No, I changed your name after you said you can't quit Deontay.
Oh, I was looking on the screen over here. I was like,
I've been laughing to myself for 5 minutes.
I don't have a cowboy.
I was like, dude, I was concentrating so hard. And I was like, I don't see it. Okay. Somebody's got to tell me.
Sorry, I said Leggett. I'll get back to actual football talk here. I had too much fun with it. Okay, tight ends, 18th best matchup for Tommy Tremble, so who cares? 4th best matchup for Cole Kmet, but if everyone's healthy, I want no part of Kmet. He's actually tight end 14 for me, and that seems way too high. He'll probably be moved down once I confirm everyone's playing. What do you guys think?
It's the matchup. He's tight end 9. I can't get away from it. I can't not rank him as a top 12 tight end. I hate it. This Bears offense sucks. Cole Kmet is not worth this ranking. Here we are. Tommy Tremble, no.
Yeah, you want to talk about sucky tight ends? Tommy Tremble doing nothing with that offense. Yeah, Cole Kmet has been a consistent tight end throughout his career. Last year he was fine tight end. This year he's been good in his role. Like, yeah. I know we talk about Kmet and his issues, but he's fine. This matchup is where you're banking on a touchdown from Cole Kmet. That's how he gets there very easily. I can see that happening. The Panthers linebackers can't keep it's just not good defense. So yeah, he's tight end 12, and I'm fine with that spot.
Chiefs are the worst matchup for running backs. I don't care. I'm starting Kamara anyways.
Oh yeah.
Nobody else in that offense doing anything.
9 targets.
Unless you have some serious superstars alongside playing with.
Well, and that's it. They're not great against running, the Chiefs are great against running backs, but they're not great against shutting down pass catching running backs. So just hope he catches 8 passes for 80 yards, and whatever you get on the ground is a bonus.
Caught 7 last week.
Yeah, touchdown too.
Yeah, he did.
No Taysom Hill steal a touchdown this week.
Let's move on to Cleveland at Washington. 2nd best matchup for Deshaun Watson. 26th best matchup for Jaden Daniels. Having said that, I bet you Jaden Daniels is very high for me. He is 4, and Deshaun Watson is 14. Higher for Watson than I thought. This Commanders matchup's not turning out to be as good as we had anticipated.
Yeah.
Turns out the Commanders' offense is good and their defense isn't terrible. So obviously, Daniels, any thoughts here on these two, though?
Yeah, Dan Quinn did what we kind of expected him to do after a rough couple of first couple of weeks there. The last couple of weeks have been really nice for that Commanders defense, especially the secondary. They're getting it together. Deshaun Watson sucks, but he's still my QB 15. That Amari Cooper bomb did not get called back last week, he would have finished right there anyway. So, I just expect him, even with a terrible offensive line, to do something against a still mediocre Washington defense. And then Jaden Daniels, of course, how can you rank this guy outside of the top five? He's my quarterback 5 this week.
Yeah, they've done a really good job of masquerading the offensive line. Like, I'll give a shout out to Cliff Kingsbury because we thought that was going to be like sink this entire offense. It's held up, and Jaden Daniels has been out of this world. Like, he's basically right alongside Josh Allen's best quarterback in the NFL right now. Like, that's how well he's playing. So I can't really rank him outside my top 5. He's quarterback 4, and I'm just going to not touch it and not mess with it. Deshaun Watson, the fantasy points, they're there. They're ugly. He makes a lot of mistakes, but QB4 15, let's ride. I think I have one spot above Mahomes, which tells you all you need to know about fantasy football, that Deshaun Watson is ranked above Patrick Mahomes.
Give me Jerry Jeudy here.
Most likely. I have a lot of
I
Jeudy
have
in the
Mooney
flex.
the highest.
Mooney 31, Jeudy 38.
You could also do Lockett too if you really wanted to. I'm just not Dubs is the one I'm not playing.
So when it's really close like this, and I've said this before, Mooney plays on Thursday, just fire him up if you're not really sure between him and Jeudy. I think that's fire up Mooney. You see what happens on Thursday night, and then you get to play chess on Sunday morning and figure out boom bust guys and who goes where.
Running backs here, good matchup for the Browns, bad matchup for the Commanders. I have Ford on here with Foreman. I don't expect Chubb to be back. I know they activated his practice window. There's still 3 weeks left.
Yeah.
Brian Robinson on the other side. I put Austin Eckler. I don't know if he plays or not. I'm sure my highest here is Brian Robinson. I have him at 13, and I feel like he needs to be higher. I'm sure I have Ford as an RB2. I do. I have him at 12. And then I think Eckler's way down for me. 42. So what do you guys have?
Robinson at 12, Ford at 19, below DeAndre Swift. What a world. But this is kind of where we are. We have 2 decent-ish kind of defenses here, given the skill level. Brian Robinson, excellent running back, facing a tougher than usual task. Jerome Ford, subpar running back, facing a not so difficult task. So these guys are roughly the same. And then, if let's assume Eckler is out, if McNichols is in, they've been using 2 running backs to perfection. I don't hate flexing McNichols in a pinch this week with 4 teams on bye.
Yeah, you saw he was super efficient last week. Stole a touchdown. Was really good on the ground. He didn't get a lot of receiving work, which is a little bit surprising. He only had 1 reception. And I would expecting Brian Robinson to be more involved. He's only seen the highest amount of targets he's seen in the game is 4. So they're not hyper targeting him. But his role is one of the better ones in the NFL. It's hard to rank him outside the top 15, even in a bad matchup. So you just roll with Brian Robinson. You trust it. Jerome Ford, I just pushed above Najee. He's my running back 18 because I really like this matchup and the role he's going to play. The Commanders defense is just # not good at football. So you want to fire up running backs against them. They produce fantasy points. And I would much rather play Eckler if he's going to play because he gives you more of the targets and that stuff. But to your point, you can go McNichols if you want to.
No, they do not win this game.
I
don't see how they do.
Wide receivers, best matchup for the Browns wide receivers, Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy. 12th best matchup for Terry McLaurin. I think I have this one, Cooper, McLaurin, Jeudy, although I'm going to double check because McLaurin might have passed Cooper. Nope, I have Cooper at 12, McLaurin at 19, Jeudy down a ways Jeudy down at 36.
Yeah, Cooper at 10, Terry at 22, and Jeudy in the 30s, 38. So, he's a flex, and you're starting these 2 wide receivers, and you're just hoping they put up the production they're capable of. Unfortunately, they're a little more boom bust, but they have safer floors than your standard boom bust guys.
Breece Hall and Jaden Reed here. That's who I want.
Yeah, that's fine. I get that.
Thoughts on the receivers, though, in this game, Jesse?
Actually, I'm probably not going to do that deal, but that's okay. I think it's close enough. Like, it's just really, you're 4-0. Like, you don't need to make that deal. Like, you could just chill. So with your team, I would just make a deal you're confident. If you're not confident, don't do it. Yeah, the wide receivers, like Amari Cooper's got the best matchup potential. Like, there's just their defense and secondary. They've already had injury suffer to it. So he's basically wide receiver 10 for me in rankings. Yeah. It's got to connect. I know he hit 2 weeks ago. We're kind of hoping it hits again. McLaurin, like, that offense is humming so well. It's hard to push McLaurin outside the top 24. I have him at wide receiver 20. Like, just the way that offense is clicking, I don't care the defense they're going against. I get it. Like, the Browns defense kind of struggled a little bit. So that's why they're top 12 and not as bad as we thought. So, yeah. And then you could also take a shot on Luke McCaffrey if you really want to in this matchup. But Jerry Jeudy is the next highest ranked guy. He's my wide receiver 45 this week.
Tight ends, bad matchup for Njoku if he plays. Bad matchup for Ertz. Who cares if he plays? I don't think I have either of these as a tight end one. I'm going to scroll here. My highest is Ertz at 16, Njoku down at 22. You interested in starting either of these guys?
Yeah, I'll start both of them. I'll start Njoku. He's my tight end 11. Even if Taysom Hill plays, he's above Kyle Pitts for sure. But yeah, it's really hard to know what his usage will be like. They need him, that's for damn sure. So I hope he comes out and is the David Njoku we expect. But we'll see. Deshaun Watson has struggled in the past. This is not Joe Flacco's offense. So it's hard still to know what to expect out of David Njoku weekly.
We do have important breaking news on this game that threatens the upside of Jaden Daniels. The Commanders have opened the practice window on Marcus Mariota. So just be aware. Be aware Mariota is looming.
Quack attack, baby.
Zach Ertz, you can flex if you have to. 15.
Yeah, I think Ertz is fine, like streamer. Njoku's role, and this is why I'm lower on Jeudy this week, is because Njoku is just better. Like, he does better than what they want Jeudy to do, really. Like, and it's just Njoku gives him more yak. He does a lot of things. He's just a better overall player. So I know they paid Jeudy, but like, they like Njoku a lot, and they've been talking about him all off season. So if a healthy Njoku, I don't care. Like, I'm not pushing him outside my top 12 tight ends each week because the role is so freaking good for him. So I have him at tight end 11, I think, and Ertz is tight end at like 16. Like, he's running routes, he's getting targets. It's really hard to fade Zach Ertz because like there's just nothing at tight end.
All right, and next up we have the Cardinals and 49ers. 4th best matchup for Brock Purdy, 24th best for Kyler Murray. I'm pretty sure I still have Kyler higher. I do. Kyler at 5, Purdy at 7. That's horrifying. What do you guys have?
I had to push Kyler down. He just looked so bad last week. Trey McBride, I don't think it's confirmed that he's out, but I think we're all expecting him to be out, right? Probably. So this offense really struggled against what should have been an easier matchup against the Commanders last week. It wasn't. It was a big problem. That all said, Kyler's still my QB9. I think he's going to run around. On the other end, Brock Purdy, he's looked good in spurts this year. He's still being highly efficient, but he has a great matchup. So he is my QB4.
There's no way I'm giving up BTJ to get Mooney and Lockett if that's what you're doing.
No, you want BTJ. The upside is immense with BTJ.
Not even close.
So much more
than by a mile.
Yeah.
Agree.
But I would be willing to like make some trades. Like, you got to do something. You like what I'm doing with your team is I'm firing up neighbors. Like, I'm playing Wicks this week. I'm taking the upside shot like JSN. Yeah, you got a good wide receiver core. I think it's fine.
Yes.
You've been unfortunate. Would be my assumption. Trade one of those guys for a running back would be yes. But interesting enough, Derek Brown had a good tweet about this where he's talking about Kyler Murray. If you take away his week 2 game, he's averaging 13 fantasy points a game, which would be quarterback for. So he has struggled, and it's not really going well for him. And he gets just a god-awful matchup against the 49ers. So, yeah, like, you want him, like, I love Kyler. I think he's really good. He's my QB8 this week, and, like, I don't feel great about that ranking. Purdy's quarterback 5. On the flip side, the Cardinals defense sucks, man. It's just not good. And Purdy and the team is basically all healthy without CMC. So you're just rolling with that offense. Yeah, have confidence with Purdy this week. He's going to smash.
Running backs, it's a top 5 matchup for Jordan Mason. Middle of the pack here for James Conner. I'm sure I have Mason inside my top 10, and Conner probably has an RB2. It is Mason for me at...
Consensus
oh, my God. Oh, my God. I have him at 1.
Yeah.
That's why I couldn't find him. He's 1 for me, and then it's Connor at 11. I have him really high. That's scary.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mason's 2 and Connor's 11. It's really hard to get Connor higher than that. He really should be, but this matchup is just not ideal. That said, James Connor's still going to have a really nice day, and so will Mason. Both guys are going to smash this week.
Okay, so we had CMC as our RB1 in most week rankings, and then this week in a good matchup, it's Mason at 1. Is this the ultimate argument for running back talent absolutely doesn't matter in fantasy football? It just doesn't mean shit. It's just about getting in and getting a good matchup.
Well,
situation matters, but the difference is CMC just has higher upside. Like, he takes it to another level.
Yeah, and my number 1 running back this week is plenty talented, and he showed it last week. I think he was like the RB1 or 2, Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, he's money. He's money. I have Derrick Henry at 1, but yeah, they're all up there. Like, I don't really care. You're absolutely fired at Mason everywhere. He's my running back at 4. Walker's at 3. Like, yeah, James Conner, the role's too good. I get it. Like, I want to push him outside the top 12. It's just where we get into these middling running backs. Like, I don't want to push Chuba Hubbard above him. I have him above Devon Achane because that freaking Dolphins offense is just broken right now, and it hurts my heart so much. But yeah, so we're just living with the James Conner show at running back 11, and we're just gonna ride it. And hopefully it doesn't burn us this week.
That's it.
Wide receivers, middle of the pack matchups on both sides: Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch versus Debo, Ayuk, and Juwan Jennings, who might be the number 1 here. I assume Harrison is my highest ranked, and then a cluster of Niners. So it's Harrison at 6. My next one is Ayuk at 17, Debo at 18, and somehow I have Juwan Jennings ranked the lowest, but that feels scary. I have him all the way down at 39 still, but I don't think he's going to continue to do what he's done. Having said that, Jennings is getting a shitload of targets.
This should be the Brandon Ayuk breakout game. It should be. I can't trust it. He's still my wide receiver 20. I have Debo well ahead. Debo and MHJ are both wide receiver 1s for me at 9 and 12, with Debo at 12. I was all aboard the Michael Wilson train last week. That was an epic fail. I'm not climbing back aboard. Wilson, Dortch, forget about it. The fourth wide receiver I have ranked here is Juwan Jennings, who has looked awesome. Juwan Jennings, even last week, with everybody back and healthy, still put up 88 yards on 6 targets. So he's got that potential weekly. He's going to be a little more boom bust, but he's my wide receiver 45 this week.
Yeah, he's just proving that he's a really good wide receiver. It was shocking. San Francisco has more talent. Like, there's no team that needs less talent. Like, you know what? Just give us another good wide receiver. I just put him at wide receiver 35. Debo's my highest ranked guy. Like, last week was supposed to be a smash for Harrison. He only saw 6 targets. Speaking of, saw less targets than Michael Wilson. So I don't know what that offense is doing, Petsing. We need to figure it out. Hyper target Marvin Harrison Jr. because he's by far your best player without Trey McBride. So we'll see how this goes, man. Yeah. And then I have Ayuk wide receiver 15, I think. Jennings. And I mean, you could throw a dart on one of like Wilson or Dortch if you really want to, but it's just spin up and down with that offense. It's hard to trust it.
Tight ends here. We'll close it out on this game. Both bad matchups. I have them as Kittle 2, McBride 3. I don't expect McBride to play, which means he's going to be moved massively down. Higgins will move up here. I'm actually going to be moving, while we're talking tight ends, I'm moving Cade Otton up into my top 12 because I'm just seeing now that both McMillan and Trey Palmer are ruled out for Tampa.
Yep.
So that's more opportunity there. And it looks like Devin Singletary is very close to being ruled out as well.
Tyrone Tracy, let's go. We're back.
If there's no Singletary and there's no Neighbors, there is no offense, and you play no Giants this week. Like, I know Wandale's going to get 18 targets, but is he going to catch 4 of them for 6 yards? Like,
yeah, that's the worry. Neighbors makes that offense go so that I mean, Tracy's just going to get a little targets is how I'd expect that to go. So it'll be ugly. They're going to move the ball, but oh god, it'll be ugly. That McDonald's team is going to be pissed off. They're going to be so furious.
Yeah.
Tight ends in this one.
George Kittle at 4. You can put him anywhere from 1 to 5, and I won't be angry about it. It depends if he's going to catch a touchdown. He did last week. He may not this week with everybody healthy. Who knows? There should be a lot of touchdowns through the air to go around in this one, though. So bet on George Kittle. On the other end, it's not going to be Trey McBride. We did the Higgins show last week. Don't do it again. We're expecting McBride out. Higgins should be out of your lineup.
Yeah, it just shows you how bad the tight end position is. We're defaulting basically George Kittle tight end 1 because he's the only tight end really doing anything. There's Bowers who's been up and down. McBride's dealing with injuries, so those kind of stuff. It's just we have the ghost of Travis Kelce coming back to be a god again in 1 week. So he was washed. Now he's the god again. So I don't know what's going on tight end position anymore. Yeah, you fire up Kittle. I'm not playing the backup tight end if McBride's not playing. And even because it's concussion, he's more than likely going to be out. So I'm just treating him not ranking him.
Actually, I was reading who does it? Maybe it was Ari Meroff saying the average return for concussions is 8 games, and they had 10 days between games. So there is a possibility he plays because they were Thursday night last week. So it's not 100% ruled out, but we'll move on to our second last game here.
The Giants Cowboys.
Do they play Monday then or something? I don't know. Anyways, they said I forget what it was, but there was enough days in between wherever they played. I don't remember what exactly it was, but sorry, move on. Giants and Seahawks. Bad matchups ish for both quarterbacks. Geno, I think I have top 12. I have him at exactly 12. Daniel Jones, I have at 25 and probably moving down as half the guys listed on this chart probably won't play. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, if they're not playing, my QB 24 ranking of Daniel Jones is far too high. He will have that rushing floor for you, and he's going to have to Josh Allen do it all himself, but he ain't no Josh Allen here, and the Seahawks are far more capable. The other thing, though, to consider is if Neighbors and or Singletary don't play, I don't know that Geno Smith needs to do everything that Geno Smith was doing last week. So right now I have him at QB 8. He's looked awesome. I believe in this offense. It might be too high just with the volume having to come down because they're playing the Giants this week.
Yeah, the one thing about the Giants is they can get to the pass rusher, or they can get to the passer with their defensive line and the ability to create pressures. And Geno's still living with the most amount of pressures in the NFL. He's doing magic work back there. But yeah, you just gotta trust it. Geno's one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. He's just shown that this year. He's been awesome. So I moved him above Burrow at QB 9. But yeah, it's kind of this game could get out of hand where he's got to do it all in the first half and then just kind of sit down in the second half, which will lead us into our glorious Ken Walker discussion to talk about how high we have him ranked.
What I learned on Monday Night Football this past week is that we shouldn't face each other in spotlight games because I'm always I'm a Lions home guy. You're a Seahawks fan. We faced each other in that big league where I'm the Lions and you're the Seahawks, and you were tweeting out. And there were a few times I almost you tweeted something about, man, the Lions can't stop DK Metcalf, and I found myself about to tweet, motherfucker, you're down 21 points. What are you talking about? And then I'm like, let it go, let it go. Let me live. I was getting into that one, man, and every time I'm getting into it, I'm going, man, the Lions are killing them. And then you're tweeting, I'm going, leave him alone. Let him have his fun. Let him enjoy it. I was like, move on. So back to this one. 13th best matchup for the Giants, 18th best for the Seahawks. We don't know if Singletary is going to play. It looks like he's not. So Ken Walker, I believe, is going to be top 10 or 12 for me. He looked fucking outstanding. I have him at 3. So yeah, I'd say that's top 12. The interesting one for me here, well, 2, I guess, is where do you put Zach Charbonnet? And what do you do with Tyrone Tracy? Are either of these guys good enough to be in the top 24? I have them both in the 30s, but Tyrone Tracy will be moving up, not significantly, but enough. If he's the starter, he'll probably move into top 24 range.
Mm-hmm.
You know what you do with Zach Charbonnet? You do what Ken Walker is doing to Zach Charbonnet, and you put his ass on the bench. Ken Walker, I know, has only had 16 touches last week, but he ripped off amazing play after amazing play. Was the overall, half PPR RB2 on the week. He's going to crush in this matchup. He's all they need. Now, Charbonnet will get some work. I think he's flex worthy here. But damn, Kenneth Walker looks so good. He's my RB1. I don't care about anyone else in this matchup. Ken Walker to the moon.
Yeah, and on the flip side, if we just removes a Singletary from the offense, I don't trust Eric Gray to get any competent volume. He's just not a good running back. So similar to what we were doing with Charbonnet, I'm firing up Tracy based on volume that he's going to get. Kind of like the 0 RB lifestyle. And fine, he'll be basically my running back 24. I'll move him a few spots below Singletary, but not much more. Like the Seahawks have given up some points to running backs. I don't mind it. On the flip side, yeah, like Ken Walker showed he's one of the most explosive, like high profile running backs in the league. He just runs at a different speed. He was absolutely running away from Lions defenders, and it was glorious to watch. Obviously, that game did not work out because they had no defensive line, but it was fun to see the offense do what they had to do against a team that gave up no points to running backs. Like they were crushing running backs, and Ken Walker's like, dude, I got it. Don't worry about it. So he's my running back 3. Like he's just really good, man. His role's awesome.
I wanted to go on mid-game and kind of tweet out some form of interpretation of what Jeremy said, of how Walker had just completely pushed Charbonnet aside. And I was coming up with this big, well thought out tweet. And then I seen an analyst that's pretty well known just tweeted out, Ken Walker got that dog in him. And I'm like, just kill yourself. I think I'm not doing this. And then I turned off social media and went back to the game. I'm just like, you're a moron. I fucking hate that.
Here's the thing about Zach Charbonnet. He really didn't do much. He only received, it looks like 7 touches, but 5 targets, 5 receptions, 39 yards. He's still viable. And in a game like this, where you expect Seattle to be out ahead, they do not need to rely heavily on the passing game. I would expect Charbonnet to approach 10 touches, maybe even more, 12, possibly 15, if this gets out of hand early. And so he's definitely flex worthy. He's my RB26.
Yeah.
All right. The wide receivers, nothing really noteworthy for the matchups. Neighbors, on the other end, may not play. That's a problem. Wandell will have a shitload of targets, but Daniel Jones targets. The 3 pass catchers are interesting on the Seattle side: DK Metcalf, JSN, and Tyler Lockett. I assume right now I have Neighbors ranked the highest, although I don't remember. It's still early, so I don't think I still have him at 4 because it's early and I haven't factored out, except for the people who are officially ruled out, I haven't taken most of them out. Mm-hmm. So then I have DK at 9. And then everybody else kind of falls in the 2-3 range for me. I'm trying to find who my next highest guy is in this game, but I can't seem to do it.
Yeah, I would assume it's JSN.
It is. I thought so too. It is. It's JSN. Sorry, JSN at 23. So yeah, it is JSN. What do you guys have for these guys here?
The DK Metcalf ascension continues. He's half PPR wide receiver 7. And he only has 2 touchdowns on the year, right? So that just shows you what he's been able to do yardage-wise, and with the volume that he's getting. He's my wide receiver 4 this week. I also have JSN at wide receiver 19. So DK may come down 2 spots potentially, but he's in that top 6 firmly. JSN might rise 2 spots, but those guys are pretty clearly a mid-range wide receiver 1 and a mid-range wide receiver 2 for me. Tyler Lockett, you can flex if you're in a pinch with the bye weeks, but I don't want to rely on it in a game where they should be ahead. So I think DK is the clear play, and JSN is what JSN is. You probably got to flex him. On the other side of the football, yeah, Neighbors is right up there with DK Metcalf. He's a wide receiver 1. Wandale should be a back-end wide receiver 2, but if Neighbors plays, I'm actually fading Wandale like we've all been talking about. It's just not a good offense without Neighbors.
Yeah, that's kind of the big issue. But if Neighbors plays, I'm going to have Wandale above JSN. Like the volume and usage is really good. And like Neighbors is such a focal point for defenses. It's really hard to focus on anybody else. Like you have to basically be like, all right, Neighbors is this entire offense, which he pretty much is, which frees up everyone else off. Because you look at the rest of the roster and you're like, that's not a good NFL offense. It's really not. On the flip side, DK Metcalf, he's a wide receiver 1 this week. Like, you know what you're getting from DK Metcalf. His usage is not high-end enough where he's like a high-end wide receiver 1, but he's just beating it consistently, being so good at what he's doing this year. It's really coming all together with him. JSN, I have as a back-end wide receiver 2. The volume is kind of, it comes and goes. I think against the Giants, it'll come this week. Like his usage is the way they used him last week. Yeah, they might need to do that. If they get into big leads, which he might suffer a little bit, and that's kind of a concern with him. And then Lockett, you kind of know it's like very up and down too. So he's wide receiver like 45, I think I have him.
Tight ends, we can close it out with on this game. I don't have either of them in the playable range for me. Where do we got? Barner. I don't have any of them. The interesting one for me is Barner. I included him over Noah Fant because I liked what I seen from Barner, and I think he's a good stash, especially in Dynasty, and he's taking over. But having said that, I don't have either of them ranked inside the top. Like I have Bellinger at 56 and Barner at 59, so I'm not starting either. Tight end's bad. I don't know if it's that bad.
Yeah, these guys are in the back end 20s if you're, bullish on them. Barner only had 2 targets last week, converted them into 27 yards and a touchdown. They designed 2 plays for him where he was pretty much wide open, and they ran kind of the level scheme where they had a short, intermediate, and a deep. And he was just happened to be open on those intermediate and short routes. So
what did he have? Two for what?
2 for 27. So who
What?
cares?
Tight
They
end
had
4?
to throw the ball. Tight end 6
4?
because he scored. Tight end 6.
Oh, okay. Tight end, you really? I was just was he really?
No,
That's awesome.
In standard, hang on, half PPR, yes.
That's awesome.
So,
That's
hey,
awesome.
it is what it is. You can't play either of these guys, so let's move on.
That's outstanding.
Yeah, it's not good for these tight ends, right? And I will say Noah Fant's doubling the routes run of AJ Barner, so like it's going to be a while. And I think Noah Fant is better overall player. Like I don't think Barner's taking his job, and Fant's there long term, so he's like a fun stash. If like an injury upside happens, then maybe there's something. And Bellinger, we hoped it would be Theo Johnson or Bellinger. It's been nothing of either one of those guys. So yeah, like you want to chase a touchdown from the Seahawks if you want to do Fant if he's healthy, because he hurt his shoulder, but I think he's playing. So yeah, that's the way I cannot
wait till Ben Sinnott is able to overcome Zach Ertz and can save the tight end world for the rest of us.
Our only hope, Sinnott.
He is the savior we deserve and we need. All right, let's move on to our final game here. Final game is Packers at Rams. 5th best matchup for Jordan Love. 12th best matchup for Stafford. Jordan Love's a must start. I assume I have him as top 6. We're going to double check. Love is at 3 for me. Stat Padford I still have at 21. It's a good matchup, but he has nobody to throw to. So, I mean, it's a desperation start if he needs Stafford. Love is a must start this week. What do you guys have?
Yeah. I'll talk about my man crush on Jordan Love in a second, but Matthew Stafford, we'll do this live. I will move him ahead of Daniel Jones, assuming that there are no weapons there. I will move him above Aaron Rodgers because of the pace of play and a tough defense in Minnesota. Matt Stafford or Kirk Cousins, that's kind of where I draw the line. Matt Stafford, my QB 23, it's just not good. He doesn't have the weapons. It's the Kyren Williams show until further notice. We've seen this play out for the last 2 weeks. It's going to continue to play out. So you need to sit him down if you can. On the other hand, I've really tried to put Jordan Love as my QB1 this week. I had him there. I moved him back. It's just there is no rushing upside, although he put up damn near 40 points last week, throwing for 389 and 4. Absolutely crushing. So, yeah, bet on Love. He's a must start every week he plays.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like we saw, they threw it an insane amount of times last week. Like we should not expect that because they were trailing. They got down basically like 24-0 or something, just absurd in that game. And they were like, guess what? Jordan Love, carry us. And the weird thing about this is they were not doing dink and dunk. They were chucking it down the field, which is really rare for a team to do that. So they were taking barnyard shots with Jordan Love, and it was a lot of fun. Yeah, it's a really good matchup. The Rams defense is atrocious. I don't expect them to be able to stop Jordan Love. So, yeah, I have him one spot above Purdy from QB5. Rolling Jordan Love. Stafford's interesting. I don't mind him this matchup. I don't really trust the Packers defense that much. So I think even though they're missing the high-end wide receivers, like he still has Tutu. We'll talk about DeMarcus and Jordan Whittington. Like I think he can do fine for you. He can be a streamable quarterback if you're desperate.
Quick bit of breaking news for those of us who care. Bijan says, quote, "I'm good. Just like these little nicks and bruises that I got, but I'm ready to go for tomorrow."
Yeah, well, he said that last year and then sat out with a hangnail, so fuck him.
We'll see.
He's full of shit. Don't trust anything he's trying to say.
Strong take.
Yeah, well, just saying. Oh, sorry, he's got that dog in him. There you are.
Yeah.
There.
Sorry. All right, running back. 6th best matchup for Josh Jacobs. 15th best matchup for Kyren Williams. I have Jacobs higher, and that feels gross. What do you guys have here? I pushed the wrong button and I've split my screen in two, so you guys talk while I work that out.
Jacobs at 3, Kyren at 5. It's just a great matchup to fire up both of these guys. Josh Jacobs really hasn't done it because he hasn't found the end zone yet this season. That's really the only issue. That will not be an issue in this game. Josh Jacobs will score. Green Bay will give him the ball around the goal line. So I am not concerned about him at all this week, obviously, with that ranking of number 3 overall. Kyren Williams, on the other hand, we said it. We've seen it. He's just Mr. Necessary. Over the first 2 games, he had 21 and doing some quick math here, 16 touches over the last 2 games. He had 26 and 23 touches. So the touch volume goes up with those guys out. And he's just going to convert that. The last 2 weeks, he was the RB2 and RB12 and half PPR.
Yeah, Jamie nails it. Like, his role is one of the best in the NFL. Like, I know people were clowning the efficiency and then it bounced back, and it's like, oh yeah, shocker, Kyron Williams is still a good running back. So those are the Blake Corum stands. Yeah, he's a handcuff. That's all he is. He's running back he's running back 5 for me this week. I really like Kyron. Even like they're going to be more than likely trailing. I don't care. He's just going to be on the field a lot. Josh Jacobs said when they asked him, he wanted to play more, but the game script prevented it. So it's very interesting. The last 2 weeks, his snap share and usage has decreased. Some of that's game script, some of that's issues. I expect it to fully be more Josh Jacobs this week. So yeah, he's my running back 9. It's just interesting the fact that they needed a pass catching back so they take Josh Jacobs off the field. Like that really limits the high end RB1 upside if we're ever getting that from Josh Jacobs.
Last week, Josh Jacobs, 6 targets, 4 receptions, 27 yards. So that's what we want to see. Let's hope we see it going forward against the Rams in a positive script. Maybe not.
All right. I think his touchdown streak actually comes to an end this week, and I think the Packers absolutely destroy them.
They win.
That's the second one. Kyron hater, but I talked good things about him on my show the other night. That means he's gonna fall off soon. I wasn't a hater in him. I believe he's a good talent. I thought he was slow and undersized, to be honest, but he played well as a rookie or as a second-year player because he didn't play as a rookie. I just thought the situation was like low draft capital. They add Corum, but what I didn't factor in is half the offense got injured, so can't project everything. Yeah. Wide receivers here, 6th best matchup for the Packers, 7th best matchup for the Rams. I'm sure Reed, Dobbs, and Wicks are all higher than any receiver on the Rams for me. I have Reed at 10. Reed at 10, Wicks at 33, Dobbs at 42. I wonder if is Christian Watson healthy? I wonder if I even have Christian Watson higher than any Ram. No, he's not. Okay. It's Tutu Atwell highest for me at 49 for the Rams.
His ankle was possessed last week and turned 360 degrees. So Christian Watson is going to be sitting for the time being. Jaden Reed is my wide receiver 5. If you listened to us last week, I was shilling for the brand and hyping up our fantasy pros, where I was saying buy Jaden Reed. You can't buy him now. You should still buy Jaden Reed high. He is the man. He is the one. He's not going to continue this insane level of production, but he is the guy who's getting the schemed looks. He is the Deebo Samuel of this offense with absolute boom weeks ahead of him and a stable floor as a result. He's the guy you want. You fire him up. He's your wide receiver 1. He's my wide receiver 5 this week. Outside of that, I love Wicks this week with no Christian Watson. He's going to be on the field in 2 wide receiver sets, right? So that's kind of what you want, is that usage. I love all of these wide receivers. Romeo Dobbs is always a threat in the red zone, even though I don't think it happened for him much last week. I haven't checked his numbers, but for me, it's Reed, it's Wicks, it's Dobbs. And like you said, then I'll probably go Whittington, maybe Atwell. DeMarcus, you just can't play. He's getting all the top cover guys. DeMarcus Robinson, but not yet.
Yeah, I like that. Jaden Reed is a guy that consistently is an efficiency king, and he continues to beat it. His role, because he's not playing all the 2 wide receiver sets, he's more on the 3 wide receiver sets and 11 personnel. It does limit him, but guess what? He's breaking all the metrics and models, so you just have to trust it. He's a wide receiver 1 this week. I personally much prefer Dontavian Wicks. He's been their most efficient pass catcher in what he's been doing. So if you're giving him a full snap share, I know it takes a little bit to get there, but he's going to be my wide receiver 2 in this game. He's wide receiver 27. I have 1 spot above Worthy, those type of players. He's right next to JSN. Like, that's how much I'm in on the Dontavian Wicks, because he's doing everything he asked for. Just needs the snap share. So if he gets it, should be really good this match. On the flip side, Tutu Atwell is the guy I trust more than Jordan Whittington, even though they're kind of routes running and everything with that. Tutu Atwell is the game breaker for them. He kind of gives them the deep threat and explosive ability. I'll trust that over Jordan Whittington in the slot, but Whittington kind of is like doing what Cup's done for them in the past. So I don't mind Whittington. He's wide receiver 34. DeMarcus Robinson's just the odd man out, unfortunately. So he's wide receiver like 45. But yeah, I'm pretty high on a lot of wide receivers in this game. So I'm confident starting them.
Let's close it out with the tight ends. Good matchups for both. I have Tucker Kraft at 6 and Parkinson at 14. Both feel kind of risky here. What are your thoughts on either of the tight ends?
Yeah, I'm not buying into Tucker Craft. In week 1 with Jordan Love, he was just 2 receptions on 3 targets. I think that was actually the other guy game. I don't know why the other guy is I can't remember his name, the other tight end for
Musgrave?
Green Bay.
Musgrave?
Yeah, Musgrave. I think Musgrave had a better game in week 1 if memory serves. But yeah, and Kraft was doing nothing while Love was out. And then Love comes back and he was 6 for 9, but they threw the ball a ton. I just don't think he gets it when the volume is not there. He's not going to see 9 targets maybe again this season. So I get tight ends a dumpster fire. I get you probably have to play Tucker Kraft in a pretty decent matchup. I don't want to if I can avoid it. But yeah, if you're talking about Tucker Kraft or Mark Andrews, you play Tucker Kraft. If you're talking about Tucker Kraft or Kyle Pitts, you play Tucker Kraft. So it's probably a play Tucker Kraft week. Colby Parkinson, no thanks.
Yeah, the upside is clearly with Tucker Kraft. He ran 48 of 56 routes last week compared to Russ Musgrave, the ghost of Musgrave, running 17. Basically, Musgrave just doing nothing there. They're clearly trusting Kraft to be the guy moving forward because Musgrave's targets, like his targets, his routes, all that stuff has gone down. It hasn't not been good for him. On the flip side, Parkinson streamable tight end because they don't have enough wide receivers and he's playing a decent role. So Parkinson, he's like tight end 11 for me, and it's rough. It's rough out there when he's tight end 11, but yeah, I like both these guys. They're top 12. Solid.
All right, let's call it a wrap at that. We have 7 more games tomorrow. They are all AFC home games. Dolphins, Patriots, Colts, Jags, Bills, Texans, Ravens, Bengals, Raiders, Broncos. Sunday nighter is Cowboys, Steelers, and we close it out Monday night with Saints at Chiefs. Obviously, the 4 bye teams are Lions, Chargers, Eagles, and Titans. Check back tomorrow at noon for our AFC home game previews. Thank you all for tuning in. Take care, and we'll see you next time.